Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for a Monday afternoon recording. We've got a weekly show brought to you by Join Cycling. Yes, we're going to put couple of little race recaps in there. We got the UAE Tour preview. Nothing's happened on GC, so we're not late. We're just in time. We've got Algarve, Andalucia. Everybody's starting to race. Vingegaard, Roglic are back in action. So all the big guns are here. And we've also got recaps of Provence, Oman, you name it. So much racing on in February. Even the Valencia, we saw the Battle of Vollering and Van der Breggen already begin. So, yeah, I'm jacked up, actually. This is my favorite time of the year. You're not sick of cycling yet. You got all the cycling. There's no pressure. There's new names, new teams, different performance trajectories. I'm making wishy-washy hand gestures. Benji's got a haircut, though. And he's not sick anymore.
Exactly. I'm all over it. Which the reason this weekly podcast is actually a day late is because yesterday I spent an hour and a half on my bathroom floor because my ear was stuffed. And if you ever had like a stuffed ear after a cold, when you like unstuff it, one of those like small crystals in your ear canal or something can get loose and you get super dizzy. And I just fell over on my bathroom floor for an hour and a half. So that's why there was no podcast, because I don't have a podcast set up on my bathroom floor, unfortunately. Maybe we should install that in the next year, just in case. But I agree, pretty cool part of the season. Riders riding their first races. Pogacar at UAE Tour, first race of the season. Roglic at Algarve, also looking forward to that together with Vingegaard as well starting there. They just saw so much action left and right, and it's every day's racing. I think this Wednesday, unironically, is racing from like the morning until the evening. And there's nothing else I can do all day, so I'm not complaining. I enjoy that.
It's tough. Like, I start to prepare the highlight video for UAE, but then Jaén is on and I get distracted, and then wow,
so tough. What a hard life watching cycling.
Sometimes it is. The UAE Tour, we have every sprinter there: Philipsen, Milan, Koy, Welsford, Merlier, Lund Andersen, Jakobsen. You name it, they're in the UAE Tour. And actually, a few punchers probably should have come for this stage. So this first stage was an uphill finish that actually had like a 6% extended section. It was a proper climb, not just like a 3% false flat, like actually uphill. It was a Binny and Mads Pedersen climb finish.
It reminds me, remember back in the day in the Tour de Polonia, there was like an uphill drag sprint where we saw Carapaz maybe get close or win a stage against Ackermann or something, like an uphill sprint.
Ackermann's good at these, actually.
The combination of like versatile sprinters with actual like GC riders and riders that are punchers in there, that's the kind of sprint we've got here on stage one. And we've also got the typical UAE style running, which basically means that for 80% of the stage, nothing happens. There was a bit of an echelon moment, or at least some activity within the last 20K where Pogacar came to the front and tried to have some fun.
So in the sand, this went through the sand dune area. It's actually very hilly and quite punchy, but most of the sprinters teams they had, it was a TV breakaway, the Bardiani boys and Corotec. So they had them at 2 minutes. There was no need to push. And so they were taking it easy to keep the sprinters fresh. And UAE came on top of the one hill, about 30 Ks to go, really pushed it. And then Poggy went over the top, Vine relayed, then the next punch he went. But actually, I don't know if he might have just been doing activations, but actually it didn't look that like the attacks weren't that devastating. But then again, this isn't Liège. This is everyone's fresh and been walking around. You're not going to drop a whole peloton on your wheel, off your wheel there and go solo.
Some people were dropping, and maybe kind of unexpectedly, as in I saw Olaf Koy dropping very early in the stage. I was like, okay, wasn't expecting him to drop that early, because I see Olaf Koy as a kind of rider that I'd kind of hope would get to this finish. Whether he'd be competitive or not, I'm not 100% sure about that. But what's up with him? Is he like ill or something? Because he shouldn't be dropping that early, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one else was dropping. He dropped and didn't come back, and this was just like one little push. So something wrong there. We'll see if he continues the race. I guess tomorrow's the TT, then stage 3 is the climbing stage. The next sprint is stage 4. But yeah, not good for him, especially as a sort of he's not a 90-kilo sprinter. Could have been a good finish for him as well. So he misses out. And then, nothing happened. Basically, sprint train started. Milano crashed himself on the back of Poggy's wheel. I think if he'd crashed Poggy because he was taking a bit on with 7Ks to go in the sprint train and crashed him, that would have been not good for him. Not good for him, but actually still not good for him. He crashed at like 60 Ks an hour onto his head in front of Jay Vine. No one else crashed, thankfully. And then we have the lead outs. They go around a roundabout. Poggy is dropped off in good position, 2.5 Ks to go. Milan actually also dropped off, but no lead out for Milan. Alpecin start their lead out early. I thought Lund Andersen would have been... I thought he was my pick, actually, internally. But Pogacar launches 300 meters to go way too early and has to sit down at about 175. He's got Milan in the wheel. Milan comes out of the wheel. Philipsen in his wheel. And I thought Philipsen was going to nail him, actually, because Milan had launched so early. He'd in so much wind. I was like, Philipsen's going to come out. He's light. He's maybe given 10 kilos to him. And so he doesn't. Philipsen cracks. Milan just keeps stomping. Finn Fisher-Black gets boxed, tries to come in and gets chopped by Philipsen. We'll talk about that in a second. And Milan wins. The heaviest guy in the top 10 by far. The average weight in the top 10, I think, was like 70 kilos.
Yeah.
Crazy win.
Yeah. It's super crazy also when you keep in mind that there's like 4 riders in the top 50 that you'd consider a pure sprinter, which means that this finish was extremely difficult. And it also highlights the fact that Milan's not just a pure sprinter, he's versatile, and we've seen that before, and it often makes me wonder, what are the capabilities? Is he ever going to be in the second group in Milano Sanremo to potentially compete for that, you reckon, in his career?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I feel like that's a possibility too. I feel like it's maybe more in Pedersen's camp at this moment, but I feel that possibility at some point in his career. And it's just a very, very powerful victory. But I gotta say, regardless of the deviation that we'll go into in a second, Jasper Philipsen at this finish looked a lot better than at the start of last season, in my personal opinion. Even though he lost.
Well, it's the same.
I don't know.
Milan just tortures him. And,
yeah, but I was...
This is a good finish for Philipsen. No, he won in Belgium. Didn't he win in Belgium in the uphill finish in Nocke Heist? Did you see that one?
Yeah, but I love West Flanders and I love Knokke Heist.
It's your only hill there.
I'm sorry, but it's like a tiny hill compared to what we saw at UAE Tour today, which means a lot because it's also
a palace there too. You got a huge solar farm there. You got sand and
7
there.
sheikhs are living there. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the same sovereign wealth fund? Don't think so. Anyway, Milan wins.
I don't have an answer to that.
No, you don't have the same sovereign wealth
fund. Knokke Heist is considered the UAE of West Flanders, though.
You should have told me it's a tax haven, Benji. Maybe I would have moved there instead.
Not sure about that, but it is definitely the place where the rich people in West Flanders tend to go.
That's where Benji's from, everybody. Okay.
No, thank you.
Philipsen can't replicate the Knokke Heist form. Milan wins in a really, really interesting stage. I think Poggy could have won. I think if he's more patient, when you look at how close Van Aert, like, is Finn Fisher-Black a better puncher than Poggy? No. And he knew that he's great. He's very punchy, don't get me wrong. Great 1-minute power. But if he's that close, now maybe the sprint only became that hard because Poggy went so early.
It's
and
weird.
Then that played into the hands of the GC guys, Van Aert, Onley, and Finn, who all finish in the top 6. Finn takes 6 bonies too.
It's very true, but also when you look at it, it's like Pogacar just gives a lead out to everybody, him launching that early. And I don't know, then we see a video on the social media from after the race where he goes to Milano and said, "Did you see my lead out?" It's so weird. Like, either he knows that he launched too early and is joking that it's a lead out.
Was he doing it for Philipsen?
He shouldn't be. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
He has to know that Milano crashed, right? He saw it. He looked back.
Yeah. They knew Milano crashed, but you don't think he would give Philipsen a lead out?
They're friends, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting
I'd like
stage.
to not believe that. But Philipsen, relegation.
Yeah, relegated, no yellow card. He didn't mean to do it, but again, he looked right, veered left. He was just he had full like max heart rate, gassed, and it's a fair relegation. It's not dirty, but it's just like riding a straight line, Jasper. It's your last chance this year.
The rule is simply that, is there a deviation? Yes. Was there danger caused by the deviation?
Yeah.
Yes, regardless of intent. And that's how the rule is applied. And as a consequence, he's relegated. Now, I'm of the opinion that if you get relegated, you get a yellow card, but apparently the UCI is not. So
you should get a yellow. I mean, because the yellow is soft, Benji.
Yeah.
You can get 6 yellows. Like, you can rack them up. Pithies have already expired. So, like, you should dish them out. It's not like if you give a guy a yellow, like, I mean, maybe Luke is saying maybe he does have one because not all we have to wait for the UCI database for the yellow cards because not every race publicizes their jury report, which is kind of annoying, very annoying.
Yeah.
But it should be yellow. If you get relegated, if you get done for relegated for safety, it should be yellow automatically because it's not that bad. Getting yellow is not that bad.
But also, it should be worse. If you get 6 yellow cards, I'm sorry, but should be banned for life.
Yeah, I mean, 6 yellow cards. Exactly.
Well, what is it? Is it a 1 month suspension?
It's like 1 month, I think.
What the? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I would try to get 6. If you're on Guangxi, you go to the Italian Classics, you just chop everybody 6 days in a row. And
your team can't send you to Guangxi.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
And they still have to pay you.
Nah, I don't think so.
No? Really?
I doubt it. If you're suspended because I don't think they'd have to pay you.
Oh.
Well, they should. What do you mean? If you get 6 yellow cards, you get suspended for a month, as if you should get paid.
I think yes. I think you're taking one for the team there. Well, actually, you're not. You're doing it to make sure someone else has to ride Guangxi.
Do you reckon any team has Bounty Gate?
What?
So this is when the New Orleans Saints, the NFL team I support, they would have like a secret bonus scheme if the defensive players like knocked out the quarterback of the other team.
Bounty, like the chocolate bar.
They put a bounty, no, like in Red Dead Redemption, like you're gonna
like a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they got a reward if they like injured the other quarterback.
Okay. Well, that's a bit.
Which team would be most likely to have that, Benji?
I don't know. Which team is more renowned to crash out other sprinters?
I don't know. I don't think that would happen.
What do you mean you know? And then you answer with, I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't say it. We'll let the comments. That's why we have the comments say it. Okay. Before we get into the preview of the actual GC stages, although Finn just took 6 bonus seconds, a word on our show partner, Join Cycling. Listen, this read is easy. You can just go to my Strava. I just went to Girona for the weekend, took my bike, got roped into 2 rides with Cole Kruger, who's like ex-international speed skater.
Those are the good ones.
Yeah, Benji knows. And I'm sick of riding with elite athletes. But anyway, broke my 3-hour normalized power by a huge amount. And also could have gone for another hour probably at that intensity if I didn't have to spike too much. So my general endurance is the best it's ever been. You can also look at my hours. My hours are nothing out of this world. Yes, more consistent. Yes, no big breaks in training, but I'm not doing 15 hours a week. And now I can cruise around at, 200, 220 normalized for 3-4 hours and go the next day as well, which I'm really, really happy about. And that's thanks to all the Join Cycling plans I put back to back together. I've not been getting overtrained. I've not fallen out of love with the bike because I'm training too much. I'm doing just the right amount. I'm doing different workouts. I'm doing, some easy workouts, achievable workouts, and then some interval ones that actually get me to reach, but not too far. And so, huge endorsement from me for Join Cycling, especially after the weekend on the bike I just had. So go check it out as well. Through our link down below, make sure you go and you can get a 30-day free trial, which is 4 times the length of the free trial you normally get. 30-day free trial, and then you get a special offer to get a paid subscription as well. So thanks to Join Cycling for supporting us, the weekly show, and also for, I guess getting me in good shape. You're on the recovery plan, Benji. Must be.
Yes, indeed. I've reapplied to the recovery plan after I got sick, because I went to the recovery plan the first time I got sick in January, so I had to restart the recovery plan. But hopefully this time around, I can properly complete it and I can finally get to a different plan. Hopefully no sickness anymore. But hey, life happens and we gotta keep going. And hopefully I become as much as a twig as you are right now by the end of 2025, because I can barely see you anymore.
Dude. I did a DEXA. I don't trust it. This doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? What happened?
I'll save it for Patrick Below vlogs, but he's saying they're saying I could go down to 54 kilos, and then I was like, so I could be like my boy Clément Alphonse Braz and Remy Rochas. I really can join them.
Yeah, well, everybody knows about the small man community group
the
now.
Small Man Club, yeah, the big attitude.
Talking about not small man community group, they are lining up for a time trial on stage 2 of the UAE Tour. We've done the stage 1 recap. We'll go into a bit of a preview of the rest of the stages now. 12-kilometer time trial. We've seen it before. I'm pretty sure it's the same time trial where Tiberi crashed in a very odd way before he killed a cat.
Yes, that was a strange crash, wasn't it?
Yep. Very long time ago, though. I don't know why I remember that one specifically.
So, yeah, this is a flat TT. Johnny Milan already said he's thinking about defending the GC lead, and you know what? He just might do it. It's the Hudirat Island one. It's actually, they've done a lot of this is where often they do their training before the races in UAE. So they're familiar with the course. There's one time check, 5.5 Ks in. It's 12 Ks. They extended it a couple of Ks. Maybe I'd say that helps helps Poggy compared to like a Johnny Milan. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but just that extra couple of minutes does make it,
Does it matter? Comparing Pogacar with Milan, knowing Jebel Hafid is coming?
I mean, for who wears GC on and the GC lead onto Jebel Jais, but yeah, it's a flat TT. So Jebel Jais on stage 3, as Benji mentioned. We have a sprint on stage 4, then another sprint on stage 5, another sprint, the Abu Dhabi Breakwater on stage 6. So we have 3 sprints on 4, 5, 6, and then Jebel Hafid is stage 7. Jebel Hafid, sorry, and Jebel Jais, as you know, is the gradual climb. Jebel Hafid's the harder climb. That's where Elisa Longa-Borghini won last week in the women's race. So yeah, I think, to be honest, preview Benji, we're not going to get cute with it. Yeah, Poggy should win. He's a short favorite. Yep. He's here for a reason. Is he super happy to be here? I probably don't think so. But they didn't win this race the last 2 years, if I'm correct. So
they fought last year, Remco the year before.
Yeah, so they had to call in the big guns. The Belgians, yeah, and the crosswinds, because you got to be smart. And Yates missed it in the crosswinds 2 years ago, so they had to call in the big gun. And yeah, he's here, and he's here to win. So, and he has to win. He has to win. So I'd say he's first. I'm gonna pick Van Aert to podium as well.
Yep.
He just looks too sharp. Just a lot of team riding. He looks too sharp, and Finn third maybe. I
like the way Van Aert was talking about the race beforehand, where he spoke about it in the same way. Where if we take a look at the way RVV was ridden last year, a bit of an odd comparison, but we had the riders that tried to follow Mathieu van der Poel ended up ruining themselves in that race. And the riders that rode as if Van der Poel was not in that race ended up Morgado getting 5th, for example, stuff like that. So Van Aert said before UAE Tour, I'm going to try and ride this race as if Pogacar is not present to try and get my best possible result as myself. Is that 100% the best strategy? That always depends on the situation. But I do think it's a realistic view going into the race, right?
I don't think Van Aert's scared of Poggy. I don't think so. I think he's got that dog in him. I think he's not scared of anybody.
I think he's got that dog too, but I also think he's got a realistic dog in him.
Yeah, he's not stupid. Like, he didn't attack them last year either. He was patient, and then attacked late. So, of course, if there's a silly attack from somebody early on her feet, he's not going to close it for Pogacar. Yeah. But I don't think he's scared of anybody.
He's going to want to try and beat Pogacar on Jais.
The problem is Pogacar doesn't have to do anything, really. So tomorrow TT. Let's say he does the same TT as Fisher Black, which is possible. Fisher Black's a powerful guy, and then Jebel Jais, Poggy should win. Takes 10 bonus seconds. Let's say he's back basically level with Fisher Black.
If we take a look at the UAE Tour team here, we've got Pogacar, Mikel Biel, Herregods, Molano, Novak, Vermeers, and Vine. When it comes to climbing on Jais early, I see Mikel Biel doing very well. When it comes to the lead out by the end, do you think Vine and Novak will be good enough to drop off Pogacar for the final sprint on Jebel Jais? Because Vine's been pretty meh this year, not gonna lie.
On Jais, less so. But actually on her feet, I think they can reduce the group enough.
I agree. That's also how I look at it.
Vine dropped everybody on Green Mountain.
Yep.
But is he in good enough shape to like on 5% respond to loads of attacks and close it down? Maybe. Maybe other guys will do it. I don't know. But the thing is they just have to drop, say, Fisher Black because Van Aertveld will lose time to Poggy in the TT. Only will lose time to Poggy in the TT. And yeah, like as I said, like Poggy actually doesn't have to really do anything because he should have the best uphill punch and he shouldn't lose any time in the TT to any other GC rider. So worst case, he can be defensive, but probably he just goes solo on her feet. But yeah, you're right. Jais is where if someone plays it smart like VPP and O'Connor did last year, like Torres and Rubio did, there it's possible. Someone can win.
But we spoke about GC now, Pogacar being the favorite, blah, blah, blah. We saw Milan winning the first stage pretty dominantly. Now, what do we expect when it comes to the sprints? Because Merlier was nowhere to be seen on this first stage, which I maybe would have expected him a little bit more than
me too.
the amount I saw him on stage one. But on the flat sprint, there's going to be a battle of the sprinting gods because all the best sprinters are here in terms of the top three, at least. In my opinion, the best three sprinters are Milan, Philipsen, and Merlier. And if I had to put an order in my head, based on what I've seen in the last year, I would go Milan, Merlier, and Philipsen. I know for you that's probably Merlier, Milan, Philipsen, or has that changed?
For the flat sprints, I'll still take Merlier.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't impressed by the little Trek lead out today. So
fair.
The quickset one wasn't good either, but yeah.
But at least Merlier did the Europeans last year, huh? And destroyed everyone.
He did. I think for these UAE sprints, I'm not convinced by Consonni in front of Milan because you don't want to be too early in these UAE sprints. They're so high speed, and he's a small guy. Yeah, I'm not convinced. So we'll see. Who do you think wins the TT? I love Josh Tarling to win. INEOS are flying. They all have their riders seemingly in good shape. Tarling's got to get a win on the board. It's a flat 12K TT. He has to win. He doesn't have to win, but I like him.
Well, he kind of has to win.
Yeah.
In my opinion, based on what we've seen in the last year. But
they
I'm
got
also
no
saying
sprinter
that
here. It's the reason he's here.
I also haven't seen much from Tarling yet this year. You know, I've seen it. Well, actually, in Marseille, it was pretty strong.
In Marseille, bro, he was
really strong.
On Crete, I reckon he broke his 10-minute power record.
Having remembered that Marseille happened.
Yeah, I forgot it too. Holy fuck. He's going to win this by 10 seconds, yeah.
Has to.
Okay.
UAE Tour. Preview done, basically, right?
Yep.
But there's been a few other races in the last week, starting off with... We'll start off with the race we just watched, right? Clásica Jaén just happened. Spanish one-day race, kind of the Spanish Strade Bianche is the way people look at it. Gravel race. And it was actually a good race. Like, there was action left and right, but there were also groups forming. When I tuned in, there was a front group that included Kwiatkowski and McNulty, together with Ibon Ruiz and a bunch of other breakaway guys. And then in the second group, we had the likes of Wout van Aert, Ben Tullard, 4 riders from INEOS, including Egan Bernal. We had 3 or 4 more riders from UAE, including the likes of Del Toro, Wellens, and so forth, and a bunch of onelings. I don't know what you call that. Riders that are individuals from teams, and also very impressive at that point in the race, maybe with like 60k to go. 18-year-old guy, Hector Alvarez, rides for the deaf team of Little Trek, and was here for the Spanish national team. Still in a group of like 20, 18, 17 people, and that was super impressive. But how did that situation evolve for the rest of the race?
Yeah, INEOS and UAE were just so strong as a block. That's the thing. When you can put riders ahead and alternate attacks, and yeah, Visma just didn't have the strength in numbers that they had, and that's the same with Decathlon and the I also don't know the word, isolated riders, I guess, lone riders, lone wolves,
onelings.
Onelings. Like, what are they going to do? So yeah. When did McNulty and Kwiato actually go? Like,
I actually don't know.
It was.
I tuned in after.
I think it was 65 k's to go. Like Wellens had gone. Tullet reacted. Tullet tried to attack on a descent. Sepp Kuss closed him. All out effort. And then with UAE in the wheel, Wellens goes. Tullet closes. UAE go again. Tullet closes. And then they
Tullet was super strong.
Tullet was mega strong. Him and Bernal were some of the strongest riders in the race.
And I feel like Visma didn't realize Tullet was stronger than Wout or something until it was a bit too late. Because I felt like there were moments. Sorry, what?
They hung him out to dry today because UAE and INEOS in this phase, 70 to 60, when the race was opened, they worked as a unit with multiple riders attacking and closing attacks. So INEOS go, always a UAE in the wheel. Always.
Yep.
Visma go, always a UAE or INEOS in the wheel. It was just Tullet. Benoit was struggling at the back. Van Aert. You know, we've been saying this for years, Benji.
Yeah.
When you're coming up to an important sort of moment in the race and you see Van Aert at the back lingering, you just know it's not going to work today.
Yeah.
Like what other, like Roubaix, the Roubaix gravel stage? No, Roubaix TDF stage?
Yes, I wouldn't call it the Roubaix gravel stage, but
Probably TDF 22 stage.
Exactly. That was also that kind of stage where he was. Then again, he was very valuable for the team afterwards.
Yeah, but it's just
not necessarily the perfect race either. There was always something off, and same thing today. But then he ends up closing Tullet at a certain point just to drop off his wheel 2 minutes later because he can't follow the watts Tullet is pushing on a gravel sector. And then they realize that Wout van Aert gets to the front, he starts hammering the tempo. And the gap gets gradually closed down towards the front riders, but it stays open for a bit. But the most important moment in this race is in the last, I think 15 kilometers, 14 kilometers maybe, puncture in the front group. And that changes everything. McNulty, together with Kwiato and Ibon Ruiz, are the 3 leaders. McNulty, his tire goes McFaulty. I stole that tweet from Myron Green on Twitter.
Bad.
Sorry, robbed that straight from Twitter. And he's obviously out of that front group, which means that UAE now has to respond in the second group. They do so by doing an attack with Del Toro. At the same time, we have a crash from Egan Bernal, who ends up in a tree, which leads to him breaking his collarbone, reportedly. Let's see if INEOS confirms that. Colombian media has said a collarbone, which would be disgusting if that actually is the case.
He was in such good shape.
I literally was looking for... I don't have a calendar on my wall with stuff pointed on it, but if I did, Bernal Strade Bianche would be on that calendar. I was looking forward to that so much.
He was nose breathing the whole race today. He was nose breathing. He could have won this race solo. I'm sure he was literally chilling. Unbelievable shape. Real shame. I think INEOS were always in control here because Kwiatkowski, I'll just always take him in a small group against McNulty. He can win the sprint. His technical skills are much better. McNulty nearly crashed a few times. And you could see there's a steep concrete slab. McNulty went all in to drop Kwiatkowski, didn't drop him. And then actually UAE were like, we better get another rider in front. Then they sort of didn't commit to it because Arrieta jumped. So I actually think INEOS...
Arrieta's head movements when he was doing that attack. I don't know what animal does this, but...
He's a good rider, Arrieta.
He is.
Impressive to be there. Carlos Canal there, Fagundes in that group. Fagundes is a really interesting Uruguayan on Burgos Biache pellet.
Good UCI point scorer. Last year and the year before as well at the team.
Yeah, but INEOS, they were all over it when UAE were trying to jump again. But yeah, McNulty, that mechanical. Then Del Toro jumps in, as Benji said, Bernal crashes, following him, breaks his collarbone. So, he won't be there in Strada. There's no way. It's in 2.5 weeks. Real shame. Kwiatkowski wins solo. Very emotional at the finish. I don't think he thought he could win a race it's a 1.1, but listen, INEOS, UAE, Visma, Decathlon, these are good teams and they're sending good riders here. Really good riders. And Kwiatkowski won really impressively with a big gap. Del Toro second. I think if you want to watch a race from this weekend, I know it's not the weekend anymore, I would say the last hour and a half, 2 hours of this is fantastic racing. Really, really interesting. Yep. And this reminds me of Strade before Strade became Strade, when it was kind of first introduced to the calendar. Ibon Ruiz third, Jordan Labrosse fourth. The decathlon, I think decathlon they raced maybe a little bit negative in the middle phase. Laurence 5th, Fagundes 6th, Berthet 7th, Canal 8th, Tullet 9th, Vellens 10th. So Matthias Schwarzbacher 15th for UAE.
That guy's good. Slovakian, right?
Yeah, Slovakian from the Devo team. It's interesting.
That's a good rider.
Yeah. Anyway.
Top 10th, Trofeo Cesalines, which was more of a versatile sprint kind of vibe.
Yep.
Interesting.
I think a bit of a disaster for Visma, though, Benji, because, Tullet, I would say at least top 5 strongest in the race, maybe top 3 strongest in the race. But then, the rest, they were, Arietta's in the group, but no, it's not in the group. Koos is attacking and then dropping himself. He and Van Aert finished on 6 minutes, in 40th. And no disrespect, but
it's like
there's some Ilias Balieres Arabai guys in 25th.
To me, it looked a lot like it was the kind of race where Wout van Aert, Sepp Kuss, and so forth were starting their season, and the team kind of looks at them because hierarchically, if that's a word, they'd be the leaders on paper, but then Ben Tullet is a better rider, and the team didn't really act on that fast enough. And then you get what you have now, which is Ben Tullet having to do a lot of stuff himself, and in the end, not being able to actually get anything out of the race himself. So, hey. And
when McNulty and Kwiatkowski have 30 seconds attacking behind them, you'll just kill yourself. Like, they're both trucks, they're relaying.
Yeah.
You may as well at that point.
Especially?
Yeah, it's too late.
When the gap's a minute at a certain point. They were one-on-one attacking. I'm sorry, but that's never going to work.
So, yeah. But yeah, INEOS look really, really good, and it was exciting to watch them race like this. They look really good.
There were other one-day races in Spain this week. We had Milan Fretin winning Clásica Almeria, which is a bit of a uphill drag sprint, I would say. My eyes were mainly on Arnaud de Lead to figure out, is he in good form or not before the actual opening weekend, which he is said to be focusing on as his main start of the season. And I gotta be honest, it's not the first time this year that I feel like Arnaud de Lead has not been the fastest in the sprints I've seen from him. I know he's won a race this year. I also know that it was the race where everybody abandoned. So I have not been impressed by the Lead, and I'm slightly worried before the opening weekend, personally. And it's kind of similar vibes. I'm throwing a few races through each other right now, but we also had Provence this week where Mess Pedersen ended up winning the actual GC. You have the highlight videos on your YouTube channel, Lanterne Rouge, as well. Sam Bennett won 2 sprint stages.
He looked good too.
That's very true. But in those sprint stages, Mess Pedersen got slaughtered, despite being good when it comes to the actual GC stage, the Monosque stage, where he attacked very early on and actually held it into the finish line, beating Mohoric in a bit of a small group sprint there. And then I'm like, I'm not impressed by Pedersen's sprints, but I'm impressed by that stage too. It's kind of like,
his
what are your
was
expectations when it comes to Pedersen and the Lead now?
I think Pedersen, the classics, I'm unchanged. His general fitness looked excellent. He was sick in the other French race, Bessèges. He's not doing opening weekend though, right?
No, I don't think so.
He doesn't do. It's not like he goes to do altitude.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's doing
Lead, I'm worried. The Lead started that sprint in Almeria, and he went backwards as soon as he hit the wind. His sprint looked bad. Now it is. Yeah, if you had to move up, sometimes you don't see how much work a guy's had to do himself to move up. It could have been that. I don't know. But Pedersen, I don't think is, except for maybe... Listen, if Kerner comes down to a group sprint, then Milan should go against... It should be Milan sprinting. I don't think Omloop's going to come to a group sprint anymore. I mean, neither did last year. It did. But I'm not too worried about Pedersen. I also want to give a shout out to the Astana Russian lead out in Almeria for Max Kanter. It was Syriza. He was the last man. And what's the other guy?
Def Team? Is it Def Team?
Lev Gonov. He's the Russian individual pursuit national record holder.
Really?
He's on the Devo team. And yeah, those two did a really good lead out. They're both on the Devo team. But yeah, Max Canter, I mean, maybe he's a nice guy, Max Canter, but he's had 1, 2, 3,
8
4,
years?
5, 6. This is 7th year at World Tour level as a sprinter, getting a lead out every year in dot ones, 7th year.
Shocking.
And he goes first win last year. And I know he gets top fives and stuff, so he does have some UCI points. He probably will rack up some UCI points, but like, is Maresco worse than him?
I don't think so. I think Maresco has a bigger chance of winning that Almeria sprint.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Because it's uphill. But you know what I mean? More likely to win a sprint. But I gotta say, we're saying that, but he is doing what Astana needs, which is those UCI points.
Yeah, like if they send him to all these one day sprint classics, you know, and he can make the finish and come top 5 like he did in Mallorca, and that's what they need.
The perfect comparison is someone like Moschetti, who ends up winning a stage in the Luna Tour, but has 19 UCI points. Country gets top 10s, has 250 UCI points.
Yeah. It's just interesting sometimes how, like, for whatever reason, some guys just get a really long rope. They get a long leash to and many chances. I'm not saying he doesn't necessarily deserve it. And some guys, one thing goes wrong and they're like out of the league. And it's just sometimes surprising how it works. Volta and Murcia was really, really exciting. Q365 won that ahead of UAE. Astana had riders in 3, 4, 5. Let them cook, I say. And to be honest, they were not just farming. They attacked. They were not just going for 3rd or 4th. They were actually attacking in the hillies. Scaroni looks very sharp. UAE kind of weirdly stopped attacking and went for a sprint with Del Toro against Kristen. And APP, which he's never winning. But that was a really exciting finish.
Mate,
and
UAE lead-out was fantastic. A full-on lead-out by Wellens and Pericas for Del Toro, who ends up last in the group.
Yeah. Poor old Pericas. It's like a lead-out? What do you mean? I never done one of these before. But elsewhere in Portugal, they absolutely stomped everybody. Antonio Morgado, really cool to see him win on home territory and in a, you know, pretty dominant fashion, going solo on the 5-minute, 6-minute climb and holding it as well. And there was an organised chase at one point, so Morgado looking in fantastic shape. He was good in the early races and continues that. And he might win in Algarve if there's a breakaway sort of Barrador stage. He looks really good.
I agree. I am also looking forward to not just that, but when it comes to Morgado, obviously he had his top 5 at RVV last year. When it comes to his plan this year, I actually haven't seen the actual confirmation that he's doing many of the classics. I know he's doing Algarve. He's set to do the likes of Swiss, Bologna, UAE Tour, and Vuelta at the end of the year. But give this man some classics. He has to ride the classics, right?
But he doesn't like them. He says he doesn't like them.
Antonio, I don't care what you like.
He came
you got
5th in Flanders.
RVV. Get on your
as a Neo
bike and go on the cobbles. That's where you try it.
He doesn't want to do it.
I know you're watching.
He wants to do a sunny hilly race in Portugal.
Like, the man was flying. And it's... Morgado's also not the kind of puncher who's going to win flesh in my head either.
No.
It's kind of like the cobble classic style climbs that he's great at punching on. So for the love of God, ride the classics.
You want Knocker course? No, not Knocker course. Le Semin.
Well, that doesn't exactly give me an argument.
No one's seen the photo finish yet. To this day. No one's seen the photo finish.
Wait. Was that the one that a Belgian stole?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the Geraint Thomas one?
Lawrence Rex, maybe. No. Geraint Thomas was the Ewan one.
Correct.
It was Lawrence Rex.
Yes.
Setmana Valenciana. Sorry, this is actually the longest name. Setmana Ciclista Femenina Volta a Valenciana.
Get out of here.
4-day race. And this was like, it's .pro designation, which we now have in the women's cycling, by the way. So previously it was just World Tour and Conti teams and EF. EF were a Conti team in the women's, which is crazy because they have like one of the best squads. They're now a pro team, I believe. And now there's .pro designations, just like we have in the men's. And Valenciana was a World Tour level race. We got Demi Vollering lining up for FDJ Suez, Van der Breggen back, for SD Works Pro Time with Bredevold. We've got Balsamo for Little Trek. And so, and also Ludwig and Niewiadoma, the Tour de France winner. It was stacked field, and wasn't that hard a parcours. Didn't matter, did it, Benji, on stage one?
Yes, but stage one ended up being the GC stage. And honestly, once that happens, and you know that the next two stages are most likely not going to, next three stages are most likely not going to be that GC stage anymore, I prefer backloaded parcours, especially for races that have limited stages like this. Stage one ends up having a climb. We see a lead out by FDJ Suez. Demi Vollering does her move. She attacks in the wheel of a motorbike, which a lot of motorbike action in this race. Gotta say, who's in her wheel? Anna van der Breggen, her former directeur sportief at SD Works. So the rivalry we were waiting for finally arrived. And 5 minutes later, it was gone. Because Vollering just straight up dropped Anna van der Breggen once she realizes that she should probably go to the back of the group to try and attack Anna van der Breggen. Because from the front, she can just stay in the wheel. So she ends up getting away, gets quite a bit of time pretty quickly because van der Breggen basically deteriorates quickly, drops to Reusser, who was in third position in the race. Reusser ends up second in the stage, and that's kind of what ends up being the overall GC in that stage race. And for the rest of the stages, I think Balsamo won 2 stages, if I recall. Did Bredevold also won one?
Bredevold won one. She should have won the last one. She didn't relay or attack out of a group that was dangerous with other GC riders. And FDJ Suez, Benji, just marked this stage 4 down. I watched it closely.
Okay.
FDJ Suez, to me, that looked like they lost control. Visma bailed them out.
Ooh.
FDJ Suez lost control. They put Boisman, who's on 6 minutes in this group, and then every second-tier GC contender on 1 minute 30 went into the break, and then FDJ didn't pace or couldn't pace at a certain moment. So
it's the SD Works.
Yes, it was the SD Works strategy
from the past, which always failed in the past. That they also tried, which is it's how Alison Jackson ended up winning Paris-Roubaix.
Where represented fallacy.
Yeah, exactly. The representation fallacy. They had Marcus in Roubaix in that breakaway, and she ended up crashing on the velodrome. Someone else won one from that group, but as a consequence of that action, they never got to the front, and some crashes by Le Kopecky in the back. Anyway, I'm ranting about very old races now, but I agree. Representation fallacy is still active, and FDJ Suez needs to make sure they don't make the same mistakes as SD Works did back in the day.
For the Tour, though, still, even if there is that issue, like Demi is looking at cut above the rest. Of course, we're in February. The Tour is in August, but she destroyed everyone.
Anna van der Breggen's shape looks really good for a rider that just returned from retirement. Like I was looking at both Ferrand-Prévot and van der Breggen as two riders that are re-entering the sport of road cycling after being out of it for a bit. Van der Breggen because she was at the S, Ferrand-Prévot because she was in mountain bike, very successful. Ferrand-Prévot having a bit more trouble with the switch right now, or maybe is it me, or might Ferrand-Prévot have the wrong goals? As in, the conversations have been about Tour de France Flamme and GC and stuff like that, but I feel like she might just be pretty good at classic style races a couple of times this year as well, based on what I've seen. In terms of her sprint's not shit, and
a general technical skills. Yeah,
I don't know, just a thought in my head. But looking forward to see what van der Breggen does for the rest of the year. Probably win Flèche Wallonne against Vollering, because that's the only race that I see her beating Vollering on this year.
In Oman, Koi won another sprint, and Yates dropped Guru to take another GC victory in Oman. VPP looked very good for them as well. He won the final stage on Green Mountain, so somewhat similar to 2 years ago when Jorgensen won GC, but actually Van Seven, on another quick stepper, was able to win on Green Mountain. So I would say a very successful week for Quickstep as well. 2 stages and a podium on GC. And yeah, I think a lot of the teams sort of got what they came for at Oman. Geraint Thomas announced his retirement at the end of 2025. I think we all knew that was coming because, he kind of said that already, that he's kind of, we knew that was coming, and he's out of contract, I think. I think it's a bit of a shame we're not going to see him in Roubaix again, but I think he's worried about crashes in the Classics. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen him in the Classics again. Yeah,
the Wigan style, a last Roubaix, but I'm not too bothered about him missing the Classics necessarily. I think he's going to be the start of the Tour de France, which I enjoy seeing for his final year. Do I expect him to compete for the victory? No. Can he potentially compete for the third place in GC? I don't know, but top 5 is definitely a realistic goal, no?
In the Tour?
Yeah, top 5. Because higher, I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's like,
sure.
Would you, if it wasn't his last year, he would have gone to the Giro, right?
I think so, because then, yeah, it could be sometimes when we have Roglic and then we saw it in 2023, Benji. Yep. Roglic and a lot of other second-tier GC contenders, the racing becomes extremely defensive, and Thomas benefited from that, and he nearly won that Giro. He took pink into the final TT, so yeah, you're probably right. And it suits him too, a lot of soft mountain stages, no super hard mountaintop finishes, some TTKs. You're right, the Giro suits him really well, but he wants to do the Tour. Volta Algarve begins this week, where, speaking of Primoz Roglic, and Tour de France riders, Vingegaard makes his season debut, changing it up. No Gran Camino this year, but also, normally we have Remco here. Remco would have been here as well, which is such a shame, because that would have been crazy. 3 of the big 4 GC guys at Algarve, they would have been rubbing their hands together.
Remco would have won GC, in my opinion. It's easy to say now, but the time trial... Sorry, but a 19.5 kilometer time trial should give Remco enough of a lead to not get absolutely destroyed on the other stage. But anyway, it's an important change in parkour. Yeah. In the past, we always had the combination of Alto de Foya, which is the climb where we saw the uphill group sprint, basically, between the GC riders in the past. We saw Remco and maybe Martinez, was it last year? Is that a wrong memory? I feel like Martinez was good at Alto de Foya last year, maybe.
Yeah.
But Alto de Foya was one of the 2 climbing stages. And the other stage was Alto de Maiau, which is also a GC stage in the past. And then there was a flat time trial next to that. This year is different. We've basically got 2 sprint stages. We've got Alto de Foya once again, but the other side of Alto de Foya, which is apparently a little bit harder. So... apparently, we shouldn't be expecting Wout van Aert to survive this version of Alto de Foya, something that on the previous version might be seen as somewhat of a possibility if we see peak van Aert. But that's unlikely on something on this new Alto de Foya. That's stage 2, by the way. Then stage 5 is Alto de Maiau, but it's not a road stage now. That is the time trial now. So it's a 19.5 kilometer time trial with the Alto de Maiau at the end. So a 2.1k climb at 9.3%. So that's bloody steep for a time trial. Is that bike change steep?
I think this is on the limit. I don't know. It also sometimes depends. Do you have like a runoff area, a good place to get the car? I think some guys will change, but you're right. It's so steep. It's really, really interesting. And also an interesting TT, because we have a mountain TT in the Tour de France this year, where guys will be using road. I think, but they're using road bikes for sure on the TDF one. It's like a whole mountain.
I'm sorry, but I feel like we're using mountain time trial a bit roughly at the moment. This time trial is 18 kilometers flat, and then the climb starts for 2k. Can we call that a mountain time trial?
Nah.
It is a
uphill finish. It's a
medium mountain time trial.
Medium mountain one, yeah. But it's certainly going to make a difference. Certainly going to make, and it's going to be a GC contender that wins it. Roglic or Vingegaard or whoever else, Almeida. But yeah, I think it's I'm glad they changed it, because they have done the same route over and over and over and over again. And indeed, actually, stage 2, it's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks, I will say. It's a fake news climb. There's steeper sections. Yeah, there's steeper sections in there.
Especially relatively early on the climb, where if you, for example, have Vingegaard as a leader, because let's be honest, Roglic, looking at this race, thinks, okay, got to get through the sprint stages, Alto de Foya, I'd like to get a group sprint so I can win the group sprint at Alto de Foya. That's what I want if I'm Roglic. Then on the Alto de Maiau time trial, I want to try and beat Vingegaard. That's a strategy for Red Bull Bora here.
Yep.
When it comes to Vingegaard, the strategy is slightly different. Obviously, the time trial, do as well as possible, but on Alto de Foya, I see it more as the team trying to set up an attack from Vingegaard and him trying to get away that way so that he doesn't have to sprint against Roglic on the line.
I'd be interested to see how Julian Alaphilippe survives the Foya stage, which you would have said he might have won 2-3 years ago. I think
5
it's
years ago.
I think it's going to be the GC. He won World Championships 3.5 years ago.
Bro, 6 years ago. Tour de France 2019 for I'm talking.
What happened where was 2022 Worlds? Australia.
Who won that again?
Remco.
Okay.
Come on, you're Belgian.
Sorry, but it's not like your Australian World Championships in Wollongong is the most memorable.
Kind of is. Like MVP got arrested.
Okay,
Foss
fair.
won. He kind of is.
Foss winning is not memorable. I'm sorry.
I remember it. Do you
I was
remember who was
watching
the
it half
TT
that
World
at 4
Champion in
a.m.
2021? Yeah.
I remember the Tokyo Olympics much more.
That's not a World Champs, is it?
Basically the same, bro. Just every 4 years.
What sprinters do we have here?
Isn't this the one where Thingy's going to? I'm just saying that. I forgot who it is.
Magnier must be going to this. No?
But Magnier would have won the first stage of UAE Tour. I'm saying that.
Sprinters field's not that good here. Bidium, Dali, Wout, Fretin, Mayus, Van Uden, Dainese, Mikkels, Leitao, Bright. I know it's not confirmed. I need to see some Magnier in there. I need Magnier in this race. I think he will be.
I want to see the lead doing better than what I've seen so far.
And they got a full train for him too. Like they're here to lead him out. So it's also strange to me Groves is not here. Like,
yeah, didn't he rode Valenciana? No.
Yeah, I think he's sick. I think it must be something wrong. He DNS'd the final sprint stage. I'm sorry, but he's unwell.
Look at this Alpecin team.
But that's what I mean.
Why don't you put someone like Henry Ulig in here just to have some kind of flat
he
sprinting
could win.
type?
Like, honestly, this is not a great sprint field.
And ironically, he can podium a sprint at Algarve, Ulig, if you send them in that squad.
Yes. I haven't seen how technical any of the finishes are. Look out for Yuri Leitao, because we just basically shit all over this sprint field, and then consequently the trains. Because even like Bahrain, Benji, there's no Skirl here. Like, it's strange. Anyway, look out for Leitao with the late flyer.
I spoke with him at Tour Down Under, and it feels like he's still getting used to the World Tour racing a little bit. And just that level of racing before he gets his own chances. But isn't Brito Mese also a pretty versatile guy? Got top 10s at Alula. So wouldn't shock me if that moves into a top 5 here.
Should be 3 sprints.
Van Uden should be competitive, but he's been worthless at Alula Tour.
Yeah. Van Uden and Bini and Van Aert.
And the Lee.
Yeah. Okay, and in terms of GC, what are you looking for, Benji?
I am looking for... Honestly... I kind of said my words already. Roglic is going to play defensive, I think. Vingegaard will try to attack on Foya. And if you're Visma, you want Vingegaard to be able to drop everyone on a climb like Alto de Foya. So, but when it comes to the time trial, do I have the confidence back in the... I don't know, he's been a pretty good time trialist in the past, Vingegaard, but that's usually in Grand Tours. Then again, in Gran Camino, he was pretty good in the time trial as well. I genuinely... Is it weird that I actually give Roglic a chance here?
It's not weird. He can take bonus seconds,
but
in a whole host of stages, and then he beat everybody in Basque Country TT last year. He smoked them in a hilltop finish TT. He went the wrong direction. He would have beaten them by 15 seconds. He took a detour, and he still beat them.
Somehow I've got less confidence in the first races of the season of Roglic compared to Vingegaard.
Yeah, apparently last year he was dog water.
Jonas been talking about I've been training since fucking October kind of vibe.
October.
I heard the way they were chatting, they were like, we got to start early. We got to make sure. Oh, ever since he lost the Tour de France, it was like dartboard on the wall, Pogacar in the middle. I was like every single day, just like the training montage.
Yeah, the Rocky montage every day. You're right, but I don't know. I feel like Roglic... I've not heard anything...
Don't underplay on us here.
Don't underplay
the man has to be ready. He's been training for 7 years for this.
Don't underplay Tullet.
Tullet was actually really good at Clásica Jaén, and he's got a time trial when he needs to. But Jonas is on the start list, bro.
You know, you laughed at me. You laughed at me.
Of course I laughed at you. You said Donald was the new Jonas Vingegaard.
Bro, did you see him in Jaén? He was fucking moving.
He got 9th.
He crashed, picked up, and I made him faster. Visma, the curse is lifted. Last year they crashed, they got a hospital. Now they crash. It makes them faster. So something's changed there.
What you're telling me is that Visma Lease Bike should incentivize their riders with bounties, like you said earlier in this podcast, to make themselves crash because it makes themselves faster.
Certainly on the gravel, he got that adrenaline spike, and he was attacking all over the place. So, yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a good race. This is the race this week. Apart from like UAE, okay, Pog Stomp, but this Algarve is the one I'll be watching.
Yeah.
I think for
that Red Bull team.
What, you don't like it?
I like it. Jordi Meus also don't underrate him for the sprint stage. I reckon he wins the sprint here.
Meus legit good. Meus legit good sprinter.
Especially after the Bellegarde stage.
I think that team's unbalanced.
I see what you mean.
Because Roglic needs someone. The strategy you're saying about Roglic, he needs someone to solve it. Remember Tirreno when Kelderman, when he was not the best, and Kelderman was solving the attacks in Tirreno 23.
Sir, but 2 years ago, on the flanks of the mountain, on the Alto de Foya climb, which Danish rider was pretty good? Frederik Wandal.
Frederik Wandal?
He was pacing, no? 2 years ago in that group on Foya?
Wandal, Boldager, and Engelhardt could be the same person to me, honest to God. I like, they're like a 65 kilo, 178 centimeter Northern European that's kind of punchy, and sometimes
Wandal's 61 kg apparently.
Yeah, maybe less then. And they pop up randomly like, fuck, who's that? He's doing well. What's he doing? That's these guys. And you're right. Wandal is good. In what's the race Aaron Broe choked? The uphill finish in Belgium. In the Namur, the wall of Namur. GP Wallonie?
Yes.
Wandal was good there, I think. So he's actually on Foya. Look out for Wandal. You're right. He might be the guy closing. Is he? I don't know. We're talking about Vingegaard attacking here.
Easy. Have you not... Mate, it's Wandal. Have you not seen the great Wandal? We need a nickname for this man.
Wandal's actually really good. He's a really good one-day rider. Like in Hilly, he is really good.
What is a Wandal?
I told you, it's a Felix Engelhardt, it's a Foldager, anyway, enough jesting. On to Andalucia, where UAE also sending a good squad. Sorry, they have Almeida. What about, you didn't say anything about Algarve about Almeida, Benji. I think he's going to come third.
Oh, well, Almeida's riding Algarve?
He's Portuguese. They're sending every Portuguese rider they have.
That man's going to get destroyed in GC. I do expect this TT to be good.
Yeah,
I expect to be good.
Yeah.
Alto de Foya, not much confidence. And that's it when it comes to GC stages. So I reckon top 5 in GC, probably third, but I don't expect too much more than that because on paper, Roglic and Vingegaard should destroy him.
Yep. Andalucia, we have, again, it's a dot pro race. Yes.
Never mind. I was going to say, what do you think of a Morgado and Alto de Foya? But if it was old Alto de Foya, I'd say yes.
Old Alto de Foya, yeah. Or Jan Christen as well.
Yeah.
But it's a bit, I don't know. It's still not that hard at the finish. It could be interesting.
Interesting.
Onto Andalucia. Typically for this race, it's 5 days of just very hard hilly racing with some uphill sprints. The first stage, I mean, these all could be GC stages. It really allows the race to open. We've got like a 6K, 7K, 7.2% climb, 60Ks from the finish, but it's not that hard to finish, so you can play numbers. Stage 2 is more of a ramp ass Vuelta style Roglic finish after, again, a fake news climb. The old pass that they say is 9K, 6%, and I'll tell you is actually 3Ks at 11%. That is That is the ultimate fake news climb. That's a joke what they've done there. Then there's a sort of sprint stage, could be a break stage on a plateau. Stage 4 is, again, a plateau sort of sprint stage, but are there any sprinters here? Probably not. And then the final stage has a lot of early climbs and then a flat finish. We could see a 20k 5% climb out of neutral. It's the last chance to do anything on GC, probably be attacks there. But actually stage 2 and honestly stage 1 could be I think stage 1 will be the most aggressive, should be the most aggressive for GC.
I think so as well. It's the kind of raid stage that you see at the end of a Grand Tour where maybe someone will attack with 30, 40 kilometers to go. But it's also intriguing that if I look at the parkour there, the last climby bump on the road is only like 3-ish%. And the second last one is, I'm sorry, I'm going to exactly the point. So with about 20 kilometers to go, never mind, it's deeper than I expected it to be. There's like a 7%, 3.3 kilometer part with 20k to go where people could attack. People could attack earlier, but they won't do that on stage 1 of a 1 week race. So I think it's about that 20 kilometers to go climb, no? Where we see action?
Yeah, I think so. I would have picked Bernal for this race. He was supposed to do it. That really sucks. So yeah, Van Gils will be here for Bora. Let's hope he can. Well, he's on the provisional. It's a really good race for Van Gils with the punchy finishes. He should win stage 2. I mean, he can win this race. The concern for him will be the UAE depth. Arrieta looked good today. They got Sivakov, Soler, Torres, Wellens. But I'm going to pick Enrique Mas. Movistar are flying. Enrique was good here a few years ago, but unfortunately, a man named Tadej Pogacar turned up and made it difficult for him to win. So I'm going to go with Enrique, and Movistar continue their good February. Or good February in January.
Hatterley, after a Lula Tour, might also fit on this parkour. Alan Hatterley from Jago, because it's kind of the medium mountains that you'd expect a rider like him now to be good at. If he
can get a good result here, then this is narrow. These are narrow roads, technical descents. True. This is a whole different ball game to the Middle East.
That is true.
That's the question mark I have. But if you can, then then they got Pidcock's here.
Yes.
Ooh, this is gonna be a good race.
All right. I gotta say,
it's a good parkour for Pidcock.
Pidcock leaving INEOS has been a great thing for this year. Everybody has been a good race. Andalucia is going to be a good race. And to be honest, Pidcock should be very competitive for GC here.
Yes,
if
he
not,
should
win GC.
I mean, my concern is, as I said, if UAE can, on those stages, play a Soler up the road and are Q365 strong enough to control that, I think for their benefit, no. But they need then that's where they need a Movistar to step in. Quite a thin field of World Tour riders, World Tour teams. Usually Bahrain used to do this race, and actually there really are not so many World Tour teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I used to think there would be more doing it. We'll see who Decathlon have here. I think Stan Mittet might be starting for them. Clement Berthet was good in just then, but yeah, I think we've got a good week of racing ahead, Benji.
I think so as well. Very much looking forward to it. And there's plenty of riders that are starting their season. I like to see where they're at when it comes to level. Roglic, Vingegaard, but also the classics guys. For example, I need to see the Lee step up before we get to Omloop. That kind of vibe. And I can get some good racing coming. And then also UAE Tour will be fun regardless of Pogacar being the heavy favorite. I'm very hyped for the sprint stages in that race, even though it's still... I'm sorry, but I find it kind of weird that the sprint stages are stage 4, 5, and 6.
Me too. It confuses me. I used to think it was... I swear before, Benji, it would be good, like 2 sprints, TT, Jace, 2 sprints, feet. It's weird they have it like this now.
And at what point will the UAE finally invest in building another mountain?
They got Hadar Dam. What happened to Hadar Dam? Did it run out of water? Where is it?
Is that not a good thing?
What do you mean?
More space for riders to ride on if the water's gone.
They don't ride in the dam. What?
Would be pretty cool.
You think they rode up the dam wall? You think
That's why it was so
That would be
steep.
rampas, yeah. Wow, they're riding up the damn wall, and there's water on it. It's tricky. Adam Hansen's like, it's 25 degrees, guys. What's wrong? So, where is Hatterdam? Someone, if anyone could get a status update on Hatterdam.
We need a missing sign on Hatterdam.
Yeah, what happened? Who would win on Hatterdam in this sprint field?
Manier. Okay, he's not here.
Stop saying Manier. You can be like, Manier win on Foya.
No, he won't. He would have won stage 1 of the UAE Tour against Milan, though, I'm telling you.
I think a lot of teams missed a trick, actually. Pithy, Bini, Zangler, actually that sprint suited. I think Milan would still win on Hatterdam.
Oh.
It's so steep, though.
Yeah. Like Fisher Black got second today, so you got to give him the credit then for Hatterdam. But doesn't that also not mean that Pogacar maybe has more confidence and doesn't launch with 350 meters to go because he's thinking about leading out an invisible person behind him?
No, it's Lecoq. Cockard.
No,
one allowed. Okay.
Lund Andresen.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Or Pithy. Yeah. Anyway, that's all hypothetical. If anyone could let us know where Hatterdam is, that'd be helpful. Hope you enjoyed the weekly show. We'll be back with daily recaps of the UAE Tour. And to be honest, I think we'll do, if we get the timing right, we might recap the previous day of Andalucia and Algarve as well. Just a quick wrap up. I don't think there's been any transfer news yet, Benji. The agents have all been on holiday, but that'll certainly heat up, I would say, in the next 3 weeks as opening weekend approaches. We'll get some rumors coming out, which is always good. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed the weekly show brought to you by Join Cycling, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.